So this is a movie that you've already won the César for? Is that right?
It is right.
Wow, and it's taken a long time to come here to the United States.
Well, we had a bunch of problems on the way. Economy, for example. So, yeah, the first distributor we had collapsed on the way. So, yeah, it took a while for us to find a new one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You must be feeling good, though, that it's... Oh, I know. We talked in Toronto for this. I do remember. You do. It's all coming back to me because we had this conversation. I mean, it's about, you know, getting American audiences to discover this extraordinary character.
Well, the character, and more, I mean, from my point of view, more than the character, the movie, because you see that's the thing with biopics. It's, you know, I heard before that if you don't know the person we're talking about, it's no interest, and I don't think so, because there's so many movies that I've seen that were about people I've never heard about. For example, I don't know, Hurricane Carter. You know, nobody knew who he was in France, and still people went to see the movie. So I think it's very much about the quality of the movie more than the character in itself.
Well, it's a gangster movie, and it's a movie that you could compare it perhaps to something on the American side like The Godfather. And it's extraordinarily well made, as you say, but a very, very well-known character in France.
Oh yeah, I mean,
they knew him.
Yeah, they knew. I mean, everybody knows him over there, and still today he's still an icon for kids that are 13 or 14 years old. Strangely enough, I still don't really understand why, because he wasn't a hero. He has this Robin Hood kind of image, positive in a way, when he never gave anything back to anybody. So I guess it's very much about, you know, the rebellion. You know, I guess people like characters that are saying no. You know, especially in France.
Anti-authority, anti-establishment.
That's what he was, definitely.
A rebel, which is a very American quality. People like that too.
Oh, yeah?
Here. And,
Without
and
a real
Scarface
cause.
Would be the other comparison,
Totally.
obviously.
Except that Nazreen existed.
This guy's much more likable, though, I think, than Scarface.
Yeah, maybe. You're right.
There's something about the way you play him that draws the audience in and gets them involved with him. You're rooting for him in a strange way.
But you know what? I didn't do it on purpose, because I actually really always tried to push the movie in a direction where we wouldn't hide anything from him. He was a racist at the beginning of his career, let's say. He was very violent to women, sometimes. He was torturing journalists, which is not that bad sometimes.
You don't mind that part.
Well, you know, the funny part is that actually I was talking with the press in France, and I couldn't understand, you know, I mean, while we were shooting this scene, for example, where he tortured the journalist, you know, I really thought that we would lose the audience. And then doing the press for the movie in France, I realized that journalists were okay with it, because he was an extreme right journalist. But I mean, even then, you can't solve problems like that, you know. The journalists were okay with it. Actually, they applauded at the premiere.
So is this one of your favorite parts that you've ever played?
I don't think I can really say that I have one favorite part. You know, I really enjoyed making it. I know it's an important movie for me. It came at a certain point of my life, you know, turning 40, all these things. But I mean, I've been pretty spoiled since the beginning. You know, I always worked with people of my age. First of all, you know, Gaspar Noé, Vincent Cassel, and all those guys. So I've always been really close to the directors I worked with, and so in that sense, I always did more or less what I wanted, you know. And in that sense, I kind of like the movies I did all the time. I never really made a movie for money, and I'm really proud to say that. Still today, I never worked for money as an actor. I did other things for money, I have to say, commercials, whatever. But so, you know, since La Haine, I have to say that most of the movies I did, especially in the French territory, I was really willing to do them.
Have you been all along seeking to avoid the kind of establishment, glossy fake movies that you could have made if you wanted to? Have you been trying to seek a more independent approach?
Well,
authenticity?
Independent doesn't really mean anything in France because that's what the system is based on, really. We only have independent movie, more or less.
You have studios, though?
Well, not really. We have UGC and Gaumont and Pathé, but they're not like studios the way, in the sense, in the American sense. Let's say.
The budgets are all much lower, even for the top budget films. Yeah.
No, much lower. Even though Miss Rin is a 40 million euro movie, 43, I think. So it's a big movie. You can say that.